On January 17, 1920, the United States embarked on a radical social experiment, the nationwide prohibition of alcohol. This marked the beginning of an era that would profoundly shape the social, economic, and political landscape of the country. The 18th Amendment to the Constitution, along with the Volstead Act, outlawed the manufacture, sale, and transportation of alcohol. These legal measures were seen as the ultimate victory for the temperance movement, which had been campaigning for such laws for decades. Prohibition promised a brighter future for America. Idealists envisioned a society where families would be stronger, communities would be safer, and the economy would thrive without the negative influence of alcohol. Their speeches and public appearances were filled with optimism and a sense of moral duty to protect future generations from the harms of alcohol. They envisioned a nation free from the unrelenting grip of drunkenness, where families would finally be healed, productivity would soar, and crime would plummet. However, the road to prohibition was paved with complexities and contradictions. While the movement had noble intentions, the implementation of prohibition laws was fraught with challenges. There were conflicting messages about the effectiveness of prohibition, and debates raged about its impact on society. Some questioned whether the benefits outweighed the costs. The temperance movement itself was a tangled web of motivations, some driven by genuine concern for social welfare, others fueled by religious fervor, nativism, and even economic interests. This led to internal conflicts and differing priorities within the movement. Despite these differences, the movement managed to achieve its goal. The stage was set for a tumultuous era, one that would test the very fabric of American society. The temperance movement, while seemingly united in its goal, was a coalition of diverse interests. It brought together a wide array of people, each with their own reasons for supporting the cause. Religious groups, particularly Protestant denominations, saw alcohol as a sin and a threat to moral fiber. They believed that the consumption of alcohol led to moral decay and societal problems. They preached against the evils of drink, urging their congregations to embrace sobriety. Sermons were filled with warnings about the dangers of alcohol, and religious pamphlets were distributed to spread the message far and wide. Social reformers, often women at the forefront, linked alcohol to domestic violence, poverty, and crime. They argued that alcohol was a root cause of many social ills and that its prohibition would lead to a healthier, more stable society. They argued that banning alcohol would uplift families and create a more just society. The temperance movement was seen as a way to protect women and children from the harms of alcohol abuse and to promote family values. Their efforts were bolstered by industrialists who believed that a sober workforce would lead to increased productivity and profits. Employers saw the temperance movement as a way to reduce absenteeism and accidents in the workplace and to improve overall efficiency. Of course, beneath the surface of moral purity lurked less noble motivations. Some of the movement's supporters were driven by a desire to control and suppress certain groups within society. The KKK, for example, with their anti-immigrant messaging and nativist attitudes, found success by aligning their values with the Anti-Saloon League. The temperance movement was often intertwined with xenophobia, particularly targeting recent immigrants from Ireland, Germany, and Eastern Europe, who were stereotyped for their drinking habits. These immigrants were often blamed for social problems, and the temperance movement was used as a tool to marginalize them. Prohibition, for some, was a way to assert the dominance of Anglo-Saxon Protestant values over what they perceived as foreign influences. It was a means of enforcing cultural conformity and maintaining social control. The temperance movement, with its mix of high ideals and underlying prejudices, would ultimately face significant challenges in achieving its goals. The ban on alcohol, rather than ushering in an era of widespread sobriety, had a paradoxical effect. It ignited a thirst for forbidden fruit, driving the consumption of alcohol underground and into the hands of other organizations seeking to make a profit. Sometimes criminal, sometimes maybe not. The unintended consequences of prohibition were vast and hard to predict. One of the most peculiar outcomes was the rise of medicinal whiskey. Physicians were permitted to prescribe whiskey for a range of ailments, from anxiety to the common cold. This loophole led to a surge in prescriptions, with some doctors becoming wealthy from dispensing liquid medicine to thirsty patients. There was also a push to poison industrial alcohol so that bootleggers couldn't use it to make liquor. Nearly 10,000 people died from this fatal policy. Another unintended consequence was the exploitation of religious exemptions. The Volstead Act allowed for the use of wine in religious ceremonies, leading to a boom in the demand for sacramental wine. Rabbis and priests found themselves inundated with requests for sacramental wine, far exceeding the needs of their congregations. The line between religious observance and illicit consumption became increasingly blurred, and the availability of alcohol, although changed, did not disappear. As the desire for alcohol persisted, a new cultural phenomenon emerged: the speakeasy. These hidden bars, often tucked away in basements or behind unmarked doors, became the heartbeat of the underground nightlife during Prohibition. Clandestine establishments, hidden behind unmarked doors with secret passwords, became hubs of illicit drinking, dancing, and entertainment. The allure of the forbidden drew people from all walks of life, eager to escape the constraints of the era. Flappers in their beaded dresses and men in sharp suits mingled freely, creating a vibrant tapestry of defiance and decadence. Jazz music, with its lively spirit and infectious rhythms, became the soundtrack of the speakeasy. The pulsating beats and soulful melodies provided the perfect backdrop for the era's wild nights. The music, often performed by African American musicians who frequently dealt with discrimination and had difficulty getting into mainstream music venues, added a layer of cultural transgression to the air of illicit excitement. Speakeasies attracted a diverse clientele, from wealthy socialites and celebrities to working-class folks seeking a reprieve from the drudgery of everyday life. The rise of the speakeasy marked a profound shift in American culture. It was more than just a place to drink. It was a symbol of resistance against the restrictive norms of the time. It challenged traditional notions of morality and respectability, creating a space where people could indulge in forbidden pleasures and embrace a more liberated lifestyle. The speakeasy became a symbol of the Roaring Twenties, a decade defined by its defiance of convention and its embrace of all things modern. It was an era of transformation where the old gave way to the new, and the spirit of rebellion was celebrated. Prohibition, intended to curb lawlessness, also had the unintended consequence of fueling the growth of organized crime. With the demand for alcohol undeterred, a new breed of criminal emerged: the bootlegger. These entrepreneurs of the underworld established vast networks to supply thirsty Americans with illegal liquor. Bootleggers ranged from small-time operators to sophisticated organizations that controlled every aspect of the illegal liquor trade, from production and smuggling to distribution and sales. They bribed law enforcement officials, intimidated rivals, and resorted to violence to protect their turf. The immense profits generated by bootlegging fueled the rise of powerful crime syndicates. These syndicates, often led by ruthless figures like Al Capone in Chicago and Lucky Luciano in New York, expanded their operations beyond bootlegging, engaging in gambling, prostitution, and other rackets. The era of Prohibition became synonymous with gangsters and violence, as rival gangs battled for control of the lucrative underworld. That is, until President Roosevelt repealed the law in 1933. The gangsters had a good run and were now poised for bigger and better things. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And leave the name of your favorite gangster in the comments below. Thanks for watching.